It sounds like he want to do one with 50 Cent. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like Jim.
Nah, I don't want to do nothing with that sucker. You heard? Leave him out of the conversation.
Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's like no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family.
When Jay did the remix, it was the biggest alley-oop he could do for me. I understood a lot about music, and at that time, people were looking at the wrong way, and I was looking at the right way.
Jimmy popping all that bullshit. I be seeing you, Jimmy talking about, we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store, talking about, we Gucci boo boo. The Black King was going fuck. Jimmy like, Marita Moneda.
50 Cent just came for Jim Jones hard after he tried to come at Nas. And get this, 50 didn't just clap back with words. He pulled out rare footage showing Jim going from calling Jay-Z soft to straight up begging for a Roc Nation deal. Yeah, it's that real.
If I told you I was in the Roc Nation office, how would you feel about that? Huh? You think I was lying? That's clear enough for you?
Now look, 50's never been cool with Jim or Jay, that's no secret. But one thing he does have, respect for Nas. So when Jim recently started popping off, saying he's better than Nas, and even claiming he made Nas go viral again, 50 wasn't having it. He took that real personal.
I did for Nas probably never been done for him in his life. He's never been that viral at all, ever.
But here's the real kicker. 50 didn't just drag Jim for dissing Nas. He took this chance to expose Jim's entire pattern of flip-flopping and being shady. This ain't just some one-time beef. Jim's been moving like a snake for years, acting tough one minute, then switching up the next, especially when it comes to Jay-Z. We're talking about a guy who threw shots at Jay for more than 10 years, even smacked up one of Jay's own execs. But when Jim was down bad and needed a deal, he turned around and praised Jay like he was his savior, begging to get signed. That's wild. So now, 50's making it crystal clear, Jim Jones is not about loyalty, not about standing on business, and definitely not about taking risks. He just moves wherever the wind blows. Jim Jones tried to speak for the culture, or so he claims, but that move just blew up in his face. What started as disrespect toward Nas turned into a full-blown expose, with 50 Cent digging deep into Jim's shady past. And once you see how Jim went from dissing Jay-Z to straight up bowing down, it's hard to unsee.
Certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they've done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like, Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones?
We already know 50 don't play when it comes to calling out fake behavior. And after Jim dissed Nas, 50 called him out hard, labeling Jim as nothing more than Jay-Z's lapdog. And guess what? That shot put a big old spotlight on Jim's messy record of switching sides. If you missed it, Jim really went out wild, claiming he's better than Nas. Yeah, better than Nas. And even clashed with Shannon Sharpe, saying he could run circles around Nas in the booth.
Way more influential. Everybody knows that.
That's a bold claim, and it didn't sit right with a lot of people. Rappers all over jumped in to check him for that reckless talk, but Jim didn't back down. Nah, he doubled down, even bragged that he made Nas relevant again, like Nas needed saving or something. He tried to spin it like Nas hadn't mattered since the beef with Jay-Z.
Ever, he's never been talked about like this ever in his life.
Now, has Nas reached out to you?
You did. The last time he was in some this when people were comparing when him and Jay was beating on him. You heard?
Crazy, right? And since Jim opened the Jay-Z door, 50 had no problem walking right through it. He posted this old clip of Jim cheesing hard at Roc Nation headquarters, acting like a fanboy, grinning ear to ear. Then 50 clowned him in the caption saying, "Someone asked me if I have more enemies than friends. I thought about it and said yes. Poor me. I'm suffering from success." Savage.
Now you play the lights off. If I told you I was in the Roc Nation office, how would you feel about that? Huh? You think I was lying? That's clear enough for you? Talk to me. Let me know your sentiments. You heard?
Some folks might say 50 Cent's just being petty, but nah, his post hit way harder if you know the real history between Jim Jones and Jay-Z. We're talking about 13 years of Jim throwing shade at Jay, diss tracks, slick comments, even street drama. But then Jim did a full 180. When the moment was right for him, he switched it all up and went begging for Jay's approval. That's the part 50's putting on blast, because Jim's shady move against Nas ain't just disrespectful, it's dumb. All it's doing is dragging Jim's messy past right back into the spotlight. So how did Jim go from dissing Jay and allegedly laying hands on one of his execs to grinning and pleading for a Roc Nation deal? Let's rewind real quick. Back in 2002, Cameron and Jim got brought into Rockefeller Records through Dame Dash. Jim even claimed Cam was promised a vice president role at Roc. Big talk at the time. But here's the catch. Jay-Z never actually made that announcement. Cam later told the source, "I don't even know if I'm gonna take on the role yet. Me and Dame are still talking about it, but I mean, I can have it. It's mine." Jay wasn't feeling it though. He told the source, "That's not taking effect as of yet. I think the talk is a little premature right now." Boom. That tension started early, and it only got worse from there. Then came the Oh Boy drama. Jay recorded a remix of Cam and Jules Santana's hit, but dropped a verse that took shots at Nas. Cam and Jim, they weren't having it. They straight up refused to release the remix and later erased Jay's verse entirely. Cam even said he wasn't about to let Jay use their track to settle his own beef.
Did a little something for you in the studio. Then he had something to Old Boy.
This is Old Boy's already #1?
Yeah, it's popping. I listened to it and I was like, erase that shit.
That's how deep the divide ran, and now it's all coming back to haunt Jim. That moment set the tone for everything that came next. Jim Jones and Cameron felt disrespected by Jay-Z, and from there, the sneak dissing era was born. Jim started throwing shade in interviews, on radio shows, anywhere he could. He painted Jay as this out-of-touch corporate guy, far removed from the streets.
First of all, let's get right to it. There seems to be some drama. You and The Roc, Jay-Z, you try to diss. You did diss him.
I diss nobody.
You dissed him.
I diss Michael Jordan. Oh man, we just there's no drama, man.
No, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Shout out to Dame Dash, who started Rockefeller Records, if y'all don't know. He's responsible for Rockefeller getting off the floor that started in Harlem. You know what I'm talking about?
Jim wanted to make one thing loud and clear. Dipset was flashy, wild, raw, and real. Meanwhile, Jay, he was the suit-wearing businessman, polished and controlled. Jim leaned hard into that contrast, pushing the idea that Jay had been left behind by the streets.
I'm on there, Jones.
Capo.
Burning the streets up, y'all know what it is, man. Purple Haze coming out, my dude Cam album coming out. Joel Santana, he slated for September. You know what they call me, Geronimo Pratt. Dipset, the new Black Panther. Want no problems. I promise you that.
And Dipset was what the culture really wanted. At first, Jay stayed quiet. No direct shots, but everybody in the game knew things inside Rockefeller weren't smooth. The tension was boiling. Then came 2006. Jim dropped We Fly High, and boom, that track exploded. Ballin' turned into a cultural moment, a catchphrase, a street anthem.
Yeah, I'm sitting clean with the bottom kitted. I hopped out, saggy jeans in my rock glisten. But I spent about $8 grand, mommy on stage, doing the ranges.
Jim finally had a solo banger, and that's when Jay-Z decided to step into the ring. Jay clapped back with Brooklyn High flipping Jim's own beat. But this wasn't no friendly remix. Nah, this was a diss.
Brooklyn get paper, so big things. Shake around, they all ball game. It's over for you dames. Give me back the chain, it's over for you dames.
Jay went straight for Jim's neck, mocking his flow, trashing his lyrics, even clowning his ad-libs. It was cold, calculated, and brutal. But Jim didn't stay quiet either. He fired back with the beef mix, flipping the same beat again and going at Jay with everything he had. He called Jay old, out of touch, and said he was weak, like the streets had passed him by. And this is where things started getting real messy. Things got really wild once the beef jumped off the mic and into real life. In 2008, Jim Jones got caught on security cam inside a Louis Vuitton store, laying hands on someone. Turns out that someone was Lenny Santiago, Jay-Z's longtime A&R and right-hand man. Yeah, it got that deep. Jim ended up getting arrested and later pled guilty to misdemeanor assault.
Jim Jones, the rapper, is going down.
Jones. Jim Jones.
Jay-Z, he didn't say a word publicly. But behind the scenes, the message was loud and clear. This wasn't just a rap feud anymore. It was personal. Then a few months later, Jay did an interview with XXL talking about the state of rap. But he couldn't help taking a slick shot at Jim. He name-dropped him and straight up said tracks like Jim's Nah 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 were ruining the culture. Jay said, I mean like Jim Jones, for example, and I don't mean this because we never see eye to eye. He made Nah 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 Nah. What's the difference between smiley face songs, Soulja Boy, and Nah 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 Nah? That could have been called Smiley Face. It was low-key, but still savage. Jay didn't have to go to the streets. He clowned Jim with one interview and kept his hands clean the whole time. After that, the beef turned icy. From 2010 to 2015, there were no more diss tracks or public drama, just this cold tension that never really went away. But that peace didn't last. In 2015, Dipset came back swinging. They dropped a freestyle over Diddy's Victory beat, and both Cam and Jim threw heavy shots at Jay-Z and Roc Nation. They mocked the famous Roc Nation brunch wave, called the whole label a bunch of industry puppets, and even threw in slick jabs at Beyonce. Cam rapped that just because you got money, that don't make you a real one. The disrespect was loud and clear. Dipset was still gunning for Jay, and they weren't hiding it one bit. You stepped on the court, you gonna play my game? Just take Shawty's advice and say my name. That line right there was Dipset trying to light the beef back up, calling out Jay-Z directly, hoping to get a reaction. But here's the thing, by then, Jay was on a whole different level. He wasn't just a rapper anymore. He was a billionaire, married to Beyonce, collecting $1 million art, launching Tidal and running a sports agency. Jay had elevated way past the drama, and Jim and Cam yelling from the sidelines, he wasn't losing sleep over it. Matter of fact, a clip of Jay even resurfaced recently where he broke it down perfectly. He said trying to beef with him at that point was like the 8th guy on the bench screaming at the MVP.
Stop with that Jim Jones, man.
Hip-hop, of course, you know, is a competitive sport. But on the other end of it, it's like certain people shouldn't be able to say your names until they've done something in the genre of music. I've done too much in this music to even have to answer that question. Like Jim Jones, who is Jim Jones? Like, he's not on anyone's top 10 list. He's not no one's top 10 list, maybe not even his family. I was saying last night, it's like the 8th guy on the bench just screaming at Jordan, like, you a bum. Like, you want to be like the 9th guy on the bench. I'm not even worried about you.
And that MVP, Jay-Z knew it was him. That moment made things crystal clear. Jim was starting to look goofy. All those years of throwing shade, it just made him look like he was stuck in the past while Jay kept leveling up. And that's when Jim did a complete U-turn. And it's exactly what 50 Cent's roasting him for today. Jim went from throwing punches to shaking hands and started begging Jay-Z to sign him. Yup, after 13 years of beefing and sneak disses, Jim finally folded.
That Jay's longtime nemesis turned collaborator Fat Joe signed to Rockefeller, and now it looks like another former rival will be relying on Hov's team to steer his career, as Dipset's Jim Jones is allegedly heading over to Roc Nation. Capo posted a picture of bottles of Douce and Ace of Spades next to a Roc Nation letterhead on IG and told fans to caption this.
In February 2017, it happened. Jim signed with Roc Nation and officially joined Jay's squad. And he didn't do it low-key either. He started bragging all over the place about getting invited to the exclusive Roc Nation brunch, the same event he used to clown. Now he couldn't stop flexing about it. The same Roc Nation brunch Jim used to diss, now he couldn't stop praising it. Jim went full 180, hyping up Jay-Z in public, doing the absolute most to prove he was loyal now. This was the same guy who used to clown Jay for being soft, accused him of turning his back on the streets, and even put hands on his close friend, suddenly talking like Jay was his idol all along. But Jay, he didn't say a word. No welcome message, no congrats post, no celebration, just silence. The only thing we got was one photo of Jay and Jim together after the Roc Nation deal. And even in that picture, Jay looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Jim finally got his seat at the table, but Jay made it real clear that they weren't equals and never would be. Jim wasn't a king, he was just another name stuffed in the Roc Nation files. And that's what makes it so wild. For over a decade, from 2002 to 2017, Jim built a whole image off not being like Jay-Z. Dipset was all about being the opposite of Roc Nation. Raw, loud, street, anti-corporate. Jim painted Jay as the buttoned-up businessman who didn't rep the culture anymore. But when that street movement dried up, the same man he trashed became the one he chased, because in the end, the money won. Everything Jim built crumbled the moment he needed a deal. Jay didn't have to diss him, didn't need to fire back. He just waited, watched, and when Jim finally folded and bent the knee, Jay signed him and kept it moving like it was just business. And that's the point 50 Cent's hammering in right now. Jim ran his mouth about Jay for years, but when it came time, he's the one who begged for a seat. Most people would have let all this slide if Jim didn't come for Nas. But once he disrespected Nas's legacy, that opened the floodgates. 50 saw his chance to bring the real story back out. And now, Jim's whole past, the switch-ups, the fake loyalty, the begging, it's all laid out. And the receipts, man, they're heavy. Now here's the real question. How deep is this fallout gonna go? Can Jim bounce back from this mess? Or is this the final chapter in his story? After all the switch-ups, all the begging, and now the backlash, is there even a way back? Let us know what you think in the comments. Is Jim done for good, or does he still got one more play left? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if you're rocking with the content, and we'll catch you on the next one.